You're watching HNL. I'm Ursula Buerta, and we're speaking to Cobus Visser. Cobus, you told a story at the event where I met you. You were one of the speakers, and you spoke about how you climbed a mountain.
Yeah, it's they say it's the highest mountain of Africa, and it's called Kilimanjaro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a lot of people have climbed Kilimanjaro. So, you know, what made it special for me at that time is because as a hemophiliac, in 2014, I woke up one morning and I couldn't walk. Now, just for the viewers, is that, you know, my blood doesn't clot. So when I bleed around the joints, it swells up, and then the blood sort of eats away at the cartilage and the bone over a period of time. That's why I don't have joints. At that time, the doctor said, Cobus, you have to get both your ankles fused. You have to get your elbows replaced to help with the pain. So that was my reality. That's what I needed to realize. This is going to be my destiny. But the thing is, when you do what I do, is you always challenge the status quo and say, but there must be something more. You know, there must be something impossible to achieve. And so I read this quote by Gandhi that says everything starts with a belief. That becomes our thoughts, that becomes our words, that becomes our actions, that becomes our habits, our values, and ultimately that creates our destiny. And so I needed to change my beliefs because this was my beliefs. You know, Cobus, you're going to have to get replacements. And so my coach challenged me and said, Cobus, get a dream so big that it scares you. Now, I'm not a hiker. I don't camp. I love luxury. I love to have a hair dryer and a warm shower.
I am with you. I'm with you on that one.
Yet I saw a documentary on TV about a guy in South Africa that climbed Kilimanjaro with his scratches and another guy with a wheelchair. And so I thought, why not? This is impossible. This is like, when I share it with people, they will think I'm crazy. Nobody will support me. But at least, you know, it's something to put out there. It's to test this philosophy about mind. You know, how powerful is our mind? So I started going. And so I said to people, I'm going to climb next year. Now, for the viewers to understand, I was still in a wheelchair at that moment. You know, I couldn't walk. And when I started walking, you know, having the challenge, I pushed myself to become better. And so I got crutches, you know, those ones underneath the elbows. And so I started moving with those. But as I moved with those, I started creating bruises underneath my elbows. And there's so many times I wanted to give up. So the next year people will come, so when are you climbing Kili? Now I'm getting better. And I said, but guys, I told you next year. And I'm like, so we go on, you know, and I'm getting better and better because suddenly I had a vision of where I wanted to go. And suddenly my beliefs started changing because my thoughts were different. My words were different. I surrounded myself with people that pushed me and said, well, Cobus, if you go, we go. You know, that support system. And so 2017 came and people asked, so Cobus, when are you climbing Kili? I'm like, didn't I tell you next year? And so these friends of mine like, Cobus, you can't keep on saying next year. And so you need to make it, you know, put a date down. And
For how many years? Can I just ask, how many years
so
did you
that
say
was
next
15, 16, 17, was 3 years in a row.
year? Okay.
You know, the thing is, the way we are as humans, we always find a reason not to go. We have excuses.
And you had a massive excuse.
Yeah, well, one was physicality, right? Secondly
Good big
was finances. Third thing is I'm not ready. Fourth thing is I don't really like camping. You know? We spoke before this interview about how many times people have excuses in their life compared to how badly they want these dreams and goals. So we always find a reason not to do it.
Another reason is very cold on a mountain.
I
don't like cold.
Minus 70 degrees Celsius on the last night. You know?
Yeah.
So that is the challenge in front of us. It was a big challenge.
Yeah.
And I knew when I set down the date in July 2018, 9 to 18th, that I'm going, paid my deposit, and it became real. Became so real that I actually became afraid because I was looking, I hardly still could walk. You know, most of the days I would walk with my crutches still. And how am I going to walk this mountain? And so that's how my journey started on Kilimanjaro. Like, I need to do this. It became a burning desire. The other reason why it became a burning desire, you know, in the beginning when I started that journey was I did it for my sons. You know, I have two boys, Tian and Vian, and I did for them, you know, they became my fingers because I went through a divorce just before Kilimanjaro. So I lost them in a sense, and I needed to leave them with something that no matter how challenging life is, no matter where you are, if your dad can climb Kilimanjaro, whatever your dream can come true. I remember that time my oldest son looked at me and says, Dad, do you want me to do what you do one day? And I'm like, oh, I would love that. And he says, and little brother Vian, I'm like, just imagine, you know, we're growing this family business. And he looks at me and says, but Dad, am I not here to live my own heart and my own passion and to go after what I want? And it made such an amazing that impact on me that I knew what I was doing had an impact on him. But do you want to know the real reason that I ended up going to Kili?
The real reason for climbing the mountain. Give it to me.
Okay, I haven't shared this with many people. My coach at the moment says I must bring it into my talks.
Okay, so we're doing it right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, because I'm dealing with it and it's hard to tell people, but I think people go through it, especially after this last 2 years. They all have been through a mountain called Cobus.
Yes.
So the year before my climb, I think it was a year before my climb, there was a racing driver from South Africa, Gugu, I can't usually spell his name right. He went to climb Kilimanjaro with the Nelson Mandela track. And he got to the top and he passed away on the top of the mountain. And he was fit, he was a racing driver, and he passed away. Now, during everything that I worked through and getting to Kilimanjaro, I had the point, because I went through a divorce and I went through all of these challenges, business-wise, etc., that I decided, I'm going to commit suicide. And I'm a coward for committing suicide. I don't have the guts to take a gun and do what I need to do. So I was looking at this and I'm like, I'm already going to Kili. Here's a guy that is healthy and fit, that passed away in Kilimanjaro. Imagine me, I'm not fit, I'm sick, I can hardly walk. What if I hadn't pushed myself and die on the mountain? What do you think people would say? And so suddenly that became my journey, because if I had to die on the mountain, they will just say, crazy Cobus, but it's still, I would leave something behind.
At least you tried.
And so I went to climb the mountain to never come back.
That's big. But you did come back.
But I did die on the mountain.
Oh.
I didn't, maybe not figuratively. I was about to die. They had to carry me down on the mountain.
Yeah.
They had to send up stretchers where I was coming down. I couldn't breathe. I was coughing. I was like, they say Kilimanjaro is the house of God. It feels like you're in heaven, looking down with the clouds below you. I was sitting there and I'm like, guys, it's okay. And I was looking up and like, God, where are you?
Yeah.
Have you forsaken me? Why aren't you coming to get me? And yet I didn't realize something inside of me had to die. And that died that day. And I was reborn and I came back a new person.
So would you say that's where everything shifted?
Yes. That was the biggest shift in my life. Apart from the fire story.
Well, we're going to get into the fire story after the break, but that was a very honest share, and the magnitude of the mountain is feeling quite present right here. And I was very curious about what practices you had to do, what was the visualization, but I guess it's the belief behind it which is the motivation for it.
The belief, and I did visualize, I did see the vision, I did exercise every day. I had people come to my house that would take me out and walk with me to make sure I'd go for walks, and then I would get better. Part of the mountain I had to climb with my crutches, and that was the other biggest challenge, every day knowing I'm going to be in pain and pushing through. But I remember every night at our share of our group, I would share, guys, one more night. And I would tell them what's happening, and they all were like, no, you're coming back. I'm like, no. But not realizing that, yes, a part of me did stay behind. And I had to go through that journey. And all of that preparation paid off. I'm back. I'm still alive.
Well, after the break, we're going to come back and talk about how can we walk on fire. See you after the break.